in Zambia. My family moved around quite a lot. They migrated. I think a lot of families have migration in their history. So mine is no different. They migrated, they moved around. Both my parents were born in Zambia. They met in Zambia, fell in love in Zambia. My dad is buried in Zambia. But they moved from Zambia after they had my older sister and I, and moved to Harare. And that's where I did my growing up. I went to school there, grew up there, fell in love with hip hop there, met some of my lifelong friends there, my loves and families that are so deep and so close to my heart from there. And then obviously came to South Africa in '96, first year at Rhodes University. And I have to tell you, it was a instant love affair with South Africa from day one. I just knew I was home. And since then, I've been here. Hip hop wise, strangely enough, I started rapping in a Christian rap group at a Baptist church. It was called the Christian Oriented Rapping Evangelists, and it was controversial back then, bro. It was never
wait.
heard of.
It was called what?
Christian Oriented Rapping Evangelist, a hard Christian Oriented Rapping Evangelist, hardcore. That's what they used to call us, hardcore. There was a few of us, and it evolved over time with members moving in and out all over the place. And back then, you couldn't jump on stage in a church and do secular music, especially not the Baptist church. So it was a big deal when we did it. And then from there, we basically performed with the Lost Boys in Harare. That was my first ever stage.
Wait. You guys performed with who?
Lost Boys.
Damn.
LB Fam.
Wow.
Every day stay on. Mr.
Wow.
Chief. Hey, every day concentrate. LB Fam. Yeah. So we said that was my very first ever stage that I shared with, I guess, one of my favorite artists at the time. One of my I want to call them an idol, but I will call them one of my. I looked up to them. I would say one of my unwritten mentors. So I have unwritten mentors that I have and I've had all my life. I never approach people and say, please mentor me. What I do is I follow them and then I become myself around what they show me, and then I watch how they roll. But anyway, Lost Boys we used to listen to, we loved, we enjoyed, we partied to. Everyone knows the LB Fam back then was popping. So I got to share a stage with them for the first time with that Christian group, by the way. And I guess it heralded the first of many times I would share stages with people I looked up to and admired. And that was in the 90s already. So we're talking about way before my debut in 2004. But even before I jumped on stage with the Lost Boys, I was already writing rhymes and poetry. Like I remember being like 10 years old, winning the poetry award in high school. And that was awarded to one person in the country. So it was destined for me to be a part of like rhymes and bars and words, rhythm. I think that stuff was always written in the cards, So by the time Listeners Digest dropped, I was 28 years old, bro, when I dropped Listeners Digest. And a lot of these cats dropped their hip hop albums in their teens and they're like early 20s. Me, I was 28, bro. And if you do the math, unless you're Terrence Howard, you're going to calculate that I'm 48 this year, So when they say the OG, they talking about the OG. Even your OG, I'm the OG's OG, except like Reddy and them. Like shout out to Reddy and
triple OG.
Exactly. So that's a bit of backstory there. Some of the stuff you knew, some of the stuff most people didn't know. So I remember there's even a picture. I'll probably share it on my socials now that you have also dragged me out of retirement. I'll probably share a picture of me with my mother and Cindy. I don't know if you remember Dr. Cindy. Cindy and I went to the same high school. So on that prize giving, she used to win all the prizes. She was the smartest girl in school at the time. Cindy Sitole was her name. And we had a picture taken with, my mom, Cindy, myself, with this poetry shield. And I was so proud of it. I was like, ooh, And I think that was the last time I ever won an award like that before and got honored like that before, in that way. And since then, I even have a line that I did with Dumi when we did a song for My Good Eye, where I was like, and I don't win awards. I'm awarded wins.
I'm awarded
That was
wins. Yeah. I know that line.
that was so literal. I feel like I've had a career full of highlights and award moments, but I've never really gotten like an award. And so for me, being at Back to the City this year and having an opportunity to punctuate 20 years of Listeners Digest really feels like a young award, you know, like, yo, we see
I
you,
see.
brother. Shout out. You know what I mean? So uh, I'm so excited about doing a little thing there, and I'm so excited about reconnecting with a lot of my friends and peers on that stage. So yeah, you asked for a backstory, and I gave you my life
Wait,
story.
let's go
Sorry.
back. Wait, let's go back because I remember bumping to you guys around 2003, 2004, and there was this place in close to Norwood, and I walked in, and and I was just like, "What's going on? It's just all these rappers that are like dope in one space, guys. You know what understand? Like everybody was in there was dope. Tongo Gara,
Yeah,
Proverb, Tabi,
yeah,
you Hibana, H2O,
yeah.
one space, guys. You understand? One space. You've been called to come see all these people in one space, and I saw you walking around. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening here? What was happening there, man? Like, I don't want to tell my story. I want to tell you must tell the story. Like, it was this hub and it's just dope MCs everywhere. What is happening in that space? How did that come about?
That came about like all things came about in hip hop back then. Just a bunch of people who loved music, they loved culture, they loved communing around that, like getting together and talking about, movies, artists. Um, and I think you have to remember in that time, like you say, all we had was each other in the flesh. We never had like, today we got social media, we tapped into communities all over the world. Back then, if you were not on the streets and ciphers, if you were not in Norwood at the office of Outrageous Records, if you are not, if you are not at the, at all the different stages all over the country, really, that was celebrating the stuff you celebrated, then you found yourself starving, you found yourself isolated, you found yourself feeling very lonely. You know what I'm saying? And so I was lucky to, straight after Rhodes University, I linked up with three other Rhodes University alumni. One was called Zino, one was called Tuli Kutwano
Oh,
Skosana, and one was
Kukwano.
called Maria. Yeah, Maria McCloy. So Maria McCloy, Zino, and Tuli, they started a company called Black Rage Productions, right? They started it already on campus while they were still at
Wow.
Rhodes, in Grahamstown. Yeah, they were there by Grahamstown, and they're like, one day we should like get together. We should try to set up like a media company because, like, honestly, I think we got something to add to the scene here in South Africa. So from campus, they talked about it. They were plotting, scheming, and then when they left, they really got together and they did it. And it's hard, when you leave varsity to jump straight into entrepreneurship. It's hard to jump into entrepreneurship, period.
Yeah.
But because they had this dream and they were kind of walking the path, every time you walk the path, you find your people and they find you. You find your destiny and it finds you. And that's what happened with those three people. They set up Black Rage Productions. And one of the first, if not the first employee they had on the books was me. And they got me on board to do the website, rage.co.za. So Maria and I basically built, put content, updated, and all of that, rage.co.za. And rage.co.za went on to become one of the biggest cultural hubs online. There were a few,
Zubz.
those.
Wait,
Hold on.
Zubz.
I'm still.
Wait, you're doing that very smooth way. You're doing that very Zubz way, right?
Okay.
And me, I'll catch you. Me, I'll catch you out. You built a website, and people don't understand that you are a graphic designer. You're trying to run away from that. Me, I'll catch you out very quickly. Let's go back to that talent, and a lot of people don't know that you're a graphic designer. Let's talk about that.
Sure, we'll talk about that a little bit. Graphic design.
You see, there you go.
Graphic design.
There goes again.
No, not at all. I'm just trying to let you know that graphic design is just a part of what I do. It's like web design and graphic design are two different things. I know they kind of seem similar, but they're not quite. When you're a graphic designer, you can design anything, including web. When you're a web designer, you're very specifically, your UX, your UI is designed for the web, right? But even then, I'm not a web designer. I literally was I'm an IT guy. I'm a systems guy, and web is part of our systems. You know, like we have a wide range of tools in our toolkit. Web is just one of them. So at the time, as a webmaster, I didn't come up with the idea. In fact, the very first design, I'm not sure who came up with it. I would implement other people's designs. So we had a design on the books one time. His name was Ian Finch. He's the one who actually designed my album cover for Listeners Digest. And Ian Finch did a redesign, for example, of rage.co.za. He came up with all the designs. I got the designs as what we call flat files, which is like pictures. And then I converted the flat file into like a dynamic file that you could click through. And then that button that Ian designed, you can click through to see the content that Maria wrote, that Carl Collison took a picture of, because Carl Collison was our lead photographer at Rage. Some articles were written by Fiona Okumu. Some articles were written by Bulelwa, you know. And the thing is, all these people, I keep talking about these names, and for some people within the industry, they will recognize these names. Mnisu Tando, Bextizi, JJ Sesing. All these people are people that were born from, even Siangwegazi, you know, born from the Black Rage Productions stroke Outrageous Records womb, you know. And that's how Rage.co.za utilized the talent it had in-house. That's how Black Rage Productions utilized the connections they knew on these Joburg streets, you know. They would meet people, people would resonate, and the next thing you know, we'd all contribute to the website. We'd all contribute to the record company. We'd all contribute to Channel O, because Black Rage Productions were one of the official, if not the official content producers. Yeah, content producers of Channel O when it first launched. So all the presenters that were there, KB, Somla, was Somla there? I think Somla was, I can't remember. But a bunch of really, really incredible presenters that were on Channel O. They, you know, they basically were launched with the words of Maria Kutlwano and Zeno and Black Rage Productions. So anyway, that was Black Rage Productions touching all these aspects of culture and society in South Africa's broader landscape of arts and culture, right? And hip hop was no different. As much as they had an impact on TV, they had an impact on radio, they also had an impact in the streets. They came up with everything from, like I said, Basic, which was a TV show that was super popular on the Friday. By the time they got to Boma Street Journal with, you know, Sia was one of the hosts in the end, but
Scoop,
ultimately, Scoop, we did the same thing in the music scene with Outrageous Records. And under the Outrageous Records banner was me as the first employee at Rage. I ended up becoming the first artist on Outrageous Records. We were brainstorming it, Zeno, Fiona Okumu, myself. You know, I think Bextizi was there at the time. I can't remember.
Wait,
or maybe he hadn't arrived.
I have to ask this. I have to ask this. How did that conversation start? Like, you were there, you know, to come join as somebody who's, you know, technical IT, and now you like, you know, guys, I also rap, or is it because they knew that you used to rap at Rhodes? You know, those conversations are very hard. Those conversations are very hard. Hey,
no,
they're like, oh,
they are very, very hard.
Yeah, like,
they knew me. They knew me from Rhodes already. In fact, Zeno knew me from before Rhodes already. Zeno's sister and my sister went to high school together. So,
dope.
And you remember Rhodes in the 90s was a tiny community, you know. It literally was, almost everyone at Rhodes knew each other's faces because we'd see them almost every day. All of us. It was that small. So I'm talking about everyone from Paul Wellen, who probably most folks don't know, through to like Donald Clark, Miss Nick Fox was a 5FM. I'm just trying to say some people names that people would recognize. But there was a ton of us on Rhodes. Unatinkai was one of them. Tuma Panchwa, who I'm working with right now.
Can I just say something? Sorry for disturbing you. I want to say this, and I think Rose hasn't been given the props, and I want to give them the flowers now. Rose has produced so much media-orientated people. It's like one of the best media places, university, to go to, because it's just been producing media, talent for years, right? Like, if you want to be in media, somehow Rose has that genesis. That's man. Just big ups to Rhodes. I'm just saying.
That's something. Yeah, I know. That quality that you're talking about, it wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. Rhodes University, especially at the time that I was there, the 90s, was known for the arts, journalism, writing. Like, psychology, all those types of things, drama. Rhodes University in the 90s literally made a point to build the human being holistically when they're at university. Like it was almost like a mantra. So if you were an artist, you artist hard, you know. And if you were a journalist, you journalist hard. And back then, if you drank hard. And Rhodes University, we drank. Okay, so
top three in the world, by the way.
hey,
At
bruh,
some
it was
point.
legendary. It was legendary. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. It started from before even Rhodes, but then cemented at Rhodes. They were before I was at Rhodes, by the way. They were, I think, the last person to leave Rhodes might have been Maria, and in her final year, I was in my first year or something like that. I can't remember. Or I think she was on campus for at least a year before I can't remember, but I think I was not at Rhodes with Tuli and I was not at Rhodes with Zeno. I was definitely at Rhodes with Maria, I think. And obviously her sister was also at Rhodes. I was there with her, well, Tandy McCloy. So anyway, we always stayed in touch. And then when I was in Joburg, they were like, yo, what are you doing out here? And I was like, yo, I don't have anything I'm doing. I'm just rapping in these streets. Where are you rapping? Oh, there's a club called 206 there by Orange Grove. What's happening? A battle. Oh, cool. I went and they knew I was rapping, but I think I was more their friend, stroke family, stroke Rhodes guy, stroke web guy than I was a rap guy. They knew about the rap, but they were not convinced about the rap. So they
Yeah, that
brought me to
conversation is hard.
exactly. They brought me to do this here. So while I was doing this here, I started even reviewing some, rap CDs for the website. But the day that they saw me at a battle at 206, that's when they were like, "Oh, this guy's serious about this rap thing." Because I was winning battles. I was winning battles in Joburg, bro. I was literally in the final with Snaz D. I remember Abu was right in the
Whoa.
front row. And Snaz at the time was undefeated. No one could take Snaz out in the battles. So it was only after I beat Snaz D at the 206 battle that someone like Bradley Williams at the time, who ran Eargasm, was like, yo, I think this guy needs to be on the Black August stage. Who is this cat? And he had known me through Fiona, and the links are very strong. Yeah, I think it was then that they really took me super seriously and decided, yo, maybe we can actually launch a record label and let's use Zubz as our first jump off artist and take it from there, because he's here and he's family already, right? And then from there we started going with our heart and getting more and more artists. When Zeno heard H2O on radio, for example, he's like, who are these guys? Let's go to YFM now. We need to meet them before they leave. And we drove straight to YFM to meet Menzi and Spiwe, pitched them this idea of Outrageous Records. Proverb, same thing. Ntabi, same thing. By the time we blinked twice, we were surrounded by the best the Val could offer in optical illusion. We had Double HP was coming through there all the time. Obviously, T was always there all the time. Rappers basically lived out Outrageous Records.
Yeah.
We hung out, we talked. We had not street boss. We had what's Tabiso Kati's name? Hip Hop Scholar. That's
Hip Hop Scholar. I saw him earlier on here, actually. What's up, Hip Hop Scholar? What a great mind.
Exactly. So we had Hip Hop Scholar across the street from Outrageous Records' office in Norwood, and we'd all get together at least once a day and just debate and talk hip hop and do top tens and do top fives. Why is Biggie better than Pac? Blah 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 blah. And then after that, we'd start writing rhymes, and then we get in the booth, and then Battle Cat would make a beat immediately, and then we just start spitting on it. Next thing you know, there's a joint. Next thing you know, there's a joint. Next thing you know, there's a compilation CD called Expressions that had pretty much all the rappers who came through Outrageous Records on there. And then we went on tour with Expressions, and then we toured the country with all these MCs, and we built such a beautiful box. I know, it's a lot. It's a lot. 25 years of hip hop will do that
I want
to
to say
you.
something, man.
25 years of hip hop will do that to you.
I like. I'll let you talk, but I just want to go back a little bit because there's something that's very rare right now, and I think because of what's up, Ayob. What's up, everybody that's jumping in. I'm just letting Zubz speak. If you wanna comment, just comment. I see a lot of people commenting. Pretty North God 15. I see a lot of comments of you. Shout out to Zubz. The golden mic holder. We'll get into that. We'll talk about the golden mic. I want to talk about that battling thing, man. I think you and Pro Kid are one of the rare people that I've seen in the industry I used to just sneak around, guys. I was like the weirdo. I'm still the weirdo. I just sneak around and just stand there and just listen, right? You guys are one of the few guys that were able to battle and transform battle into studio, because that's a very hard thing, right? Because a lot of people fail to that.
Mm.
How did you transcend that? What helped you become an artist after battling? Because man, being a battle MC is totally different from obviously recording music. And the reason why I'm asking this, I know that a lot of people struggle with that. Being
No,
hard and being an album artist are very two different things.
they really are. And there are many examples, right? Can I Bus is one of that example. You go from the battle scene, then you start putting out albums, and the two are not exactly the same. But it wasn't unheard of back then for MCs who were nice in the ciphers and in the streets to be nice in the booth. It was very common. It wasn't a shock or a surprise. Stogie
Yes,
T,
and that's
he was
so
called Tumi
yes.
back then. He was a battle MC also. He was in the ciphers. He was a poet. He literally was in the trenches as well, touching flesh and blood, really, just being with the people in the front lines before he started recording, before he even met a band. And almost everyone's story at the time was like that. You really almost had to cut your teeth and your chops on the streets with the
Mm-hmm.
pen, with presence, with performance, before you even wrote a song for recording. Like, that was not abnormal. It was so simple then. It was an easy transition. In fact, the first time I met Proverb was at a battle on YFM, and he was one of the most incredible freestyle battle artists.
Yo,
Him and also Pro Kid,
yeah,
they were one of the most incredible lyrical bar-based battle MCs you've ever heard. And they went on to have some of the most beautiful albums you've ever heard. And it wasn't uncommon for me to find myself in a situation where my battle career led to my recording career. It wasn't something that was unique to me at the time. We didn't think about it even as like, yo, who's a battle MC and who's a recording artist? Everyone was just an artist, or everyone was just an MC or a rapper. It wasn't like, oh, this guitarist is a session musician, or I don't know, like some kind of BB King in the making. It was
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, yo, this is
Let's
a
do
beautiful
this.
artist.
Mm.
Exactly. You are like a beautiful artist. And next thing you know, you're Sipo Gumede, or you're Pops Muhammad. Like, some people like to differentiate in their minds. They see an artist on the streets and then they say, oh, he's basking. Then they see a musician on the stage playing a guitar and they're like, oh, he's a bassist or a guitarist. And then they see someone rapping and they say, oh, he's a rapper. But the community of artists, we kind of all share one thing in common: the artist part. We're all just artists, session musicians, backup singers. Donald was a backup singer also. Um,
That's
and
true.
yeah, Luther Van Ross was a backup singer. So you can't box any of these. And you talked earlier on about how I am an IT guy. Yeah, I am. I always have been. But I'm Zubz the Last Letter, the legendary golden mic holder, ill rhyme writer, MC extraordinaire. I always have been. Just because you know me as the rapper and you don't know me as this guy, there's some people who don't even know I rap, eh? And I'm sitting in these rooms with them. And now they get shocked. They're like, "Kanti,
Kimango.
kanti di man you are but and it's like, yes, and then I tell them about my past, and they're like, no way, bro. Like, they can't believe it, right? We love a cute little box, TTP. We love a box, dog. It's almost like
That's true.
boxes define us. They define us to the point of forgetting that, yo, at the end of the day, we're human, all of us, and we
Correct.
come as we are. We come as we are. And then what we do, what we what the actions themselves are just actions in the moment. Who are you really? Who are you really? I remember you and I having a conversation. Sorry, and I'm yakking a lot and
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
have
no.
much time. I remember you and I having a conversation about the new generation.
Yeah.
And I was telling you about the cats that I like. And I was saying to you, yo, the reason I like these people is because I don't have to get to meet them, to know them. I
Yes.
listen to their songs and I already know who they are. It's the same for actors. Like, I know who they are, you know? I can instantly connect to the personality, because ultimately that's all we are, is just people.
That's true. That's true. But let's go back when I said 20 years. We were talking about 20 years of an album, and you're talking about how the album came about, and you guys were just in studio in the space, the space that made your head spin, that talked hip hop most of the time. You had one person that ultimately created a sound that, man, like at that time we were like, who's this guy? Like Tonga Gara. I'm gonna say his government name first, I know
Yeah.
whoever he is gonna shout at me, but Tonga Gara was there, and then man, and I used to be like, yo, this guy, hey, that bass, hey man, who's this guy, man? Hey man. Then I met him, like, hey, this guy, very, very quiet guy. Like, he's like, he reminds me, like, him and Dome are very similar. Like, they're very quiet, but the sound that comes from those guys is just like, just tell us about the making of that album and the Listeners Digest. And I'm gonna talk about something that maybe you've forgotten about, even the pre-launch with, at Music Warehouse.
Oh, wow. You remember that?
Yo, man, that's a weird thing. We're like all there, but when you look at the pictures, like, oh, he was there. Oh, she was there. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, let's talk about the album, how Listeners Digest came out, because that album changed a lot of people's lives. Like, you just went in.
No, and I'm grateful for that. I get told that even to this day. I bump into cats in the streets all the time, and they tell me, "Oh my gosh, Zubz, Andiende. Oh my God, that song. Me and my girlfriend, we fell in love to that song, or me and my girlfriend broke up to that song." Or they'll tell me about like the legend, or they'll tell me about I Write.
Yeah, somebody wrote
There's so many songs of listeners.
yeah.
Yeah, listeners that just touched a lot of lives, and I'm so grateful for that. It changed mine, obviously, in obvious ways. But if it wasn't for the people, that album wouldn't have been what it is today. It wasn't. The fact that it resonated and the people owned it as well. They made it theirs. It punctuated their memories. That's what really made that album special. It's what made it like Sama nominated by the end of that year. Because I had no reason to even be anywhere near that scene. Like, just because you submit an album for a nomination doesn't mean that it's going to get considered, isn't it? Like,
correct.
They have to have a reason, right? So the people made sure. I mean, the radio stations don't have to play your song just because you ask for it to be played. Like, there has to be a real demand. You don't just chart because, yo, man, we know your friends who, you chart because people like it, So thank you so much to everyone who fell in love with the music as much as I did. And Tongo and I, because we loved hip hop so much and we saw each other every day, we built that album over time. It really was like every time I'd come to work, I'd work on the website. Tongo is working in the studio. He's making a beat. I'm creating the site. I'm updating. I'm getting told, here's the Gig Guide by Maria McCoy. Post this for the weekend. As soon as we're done posting, I'll go into the studio. I'd listen to whatever BK is doing. I'll be like, oh, that's nice. Put that aside. And he's like, yeah, see, I like the song. I think on this one, I think you should go like this. I think you should do that. I think this one, you should just start rapping before, and then I'll bring the beat in, Jump in the booth. Let me show you. Then BK would start. And I'll be like, okay, should I come in now? Right here? Okay, straight off the bat, you could tell when I rap, I'm mad different, got the mad vision of the spirit of my dad risen, and then the beat comes in. All of that would happen organically. It would happen as if we scripted it sometimes, but we didn't. We literally found ourselves having an album of 35 or 60 type songs. I can't remember how many it was, because we see each other like every day, and every day we're in that studio. Reason would come from school in his uniform, and he'd sit there with us, and he'd sit with Battle Cat, and he'd watch. And there was a guy then called Stembiso Ngobo. I called him Stethoscope at the time. I dubbed him Stethoscope, because he made beats that spoke to the heart. And I was like, yo, man, this beat is nice. What do you call this? He's like, I know this one was inspired by Barry Manilow. It's called I Write the Songs. And I was like, yo, man, Barry Manilow's I Write the Songs, great inspiration. I'm going to write a song called I Write off of this. And then I wrote I Write off the Stethoscope beat. Then we took out the Barry Manilow sample, and we just kept the parts that had the Stethoscope beat. So that's how Listeners Digest came about. And Tongo, throughout that entire process, sat down and created, mixed. Where he didn't make the beat, he mixed the beat, he engineered the beat, he directed, he gave feedback. No, Zubz, go back in. You're sounding a little bit stressed. Go in and be a little bit more calm. It's supposed to be an
go back to
Exactly. exactly. He was A&Ring, he was co-writing, he was co-producing. Um, Everyone was kind of like pitching in, you know. It says Zubz on the album cover, but it's more than just Zubz on that album cover.
Can I
And in
touch
the end,
something?
yeah,
Can I touch on something that's it's a bit controversial because that's another side of me has to come out. So I want to say this, man. I realize that a lot of guys are scared of that. They're scared of being told, "I Lana, I'm a rhymes are not." You've been repeating the same, words because it's normal for you to like as a writer to repeat certain words. Or I Lana, you sound stressed as the Tongara or Battle Cat will like instruct you. Can you just explain the art of A&R, man? I think we just using it a bit because I listen to a lot of albums. I've been listening to everybody that's out now. Shout out to Touchline, shout out to Aries, shout out to Latinova Pounds, Duncan. I literally listen to everybody that's out now. Usi Maimani, but I still feel like the A&R in hip hop, man, we can take it up a notch. I think we're just
yeah.
missing that little just a little thing, man. Can you just explain as a rapper, because we are rappers are arrogant. We it's an arrogant thing to be a rapper. You get what I'm saying? Like, no, it makes sense. You're writing and you're saying you are the best, and somebody says,
Yeah,
you sound stressed, baba. Really good.
exactly.
How did you
And there
take
you
that
are.
and maybe explain to people like 20 years later, being in the booth and somebody telling you, "Ay, lana, ay, lungisa, baba, fix la."
Well, because of what music is an organic process, right? You allow the music to take you where it takes you. You can do your part, others can do their part, but then the music then takes over and does its own thing. You will find a keyboardist who will sometimes suggest a harmony part, and then the singer will sing. Sometimes the guitarist will play something just playing, and then the guy who writes the melody will be like, "Oh wow, that's beautiful," and then it'll be part of the writing of the song. So there's so many blurred lines when it comes to creation that even when you are saying A&R, what you're calling A&R, especially in regards to Tongo saying, "Yo, you sound like this, sound like that," others wouldn't call A&R. Some would call A&R just choosing from a list of 30 songs what is the 15 songs. Some would call that executive producing. Some would call A&R an ear listening thing from like an executive position as opposed to an artist thing. So the labels, especially when you're creating, get so blurry, bro. Remember Lauren Hill for her Miseducation album? She had a bit of a controversy about that because some of her singers were writing in the booth, and by the time she was getting awards, those people weren't even written on the sleeve, and it was a giant controversy. I don't know if I'm even supposed to say something like this because it's not based on fact. But I think that's one of the reasons why she never really toured as much with the album. Why she still doesn't like performing so much is because of the controversy around how beautiful it was to make it, what a beautiful thing it was when it came out, and then how icky it came when people started putting labels on it. And they started trying to say, "No, but I did this, I deserve that. No, but I'm the one who did this. You never put my name on it. But I'm the one who did this. Why didn't you credit? And why are you getting paid and not me?" Like before too long, the art has nothing to do with it, and people's egos have everything to do with it. And so that I think is a challenge that even young cats today face, where there are collaborators from all over the world now, not just from the street or from the room. They're collaborators from all over the world. And sometimes you collaborate with somebody in a different country. They've had people in that country who contributed to what they contributed to what you did. And before you know it, your thing has blown up. But there are people from Finland who are like, "Dude, I made that joint," or whatever. So it gets weird when you start trying to label, is it A&R? Is it executive producing? Is it composing? Is it writing? So yeah, in as much as I let the heart decide for me what lyrics there will be, what artists will feature, I also let the heart decide what people I will work with, so that those kinds of controversies are not anywhere near. So, yeah.
I saw somebody wrote here, man. Shout out to the features. Let's talk about features because there's one song there. Hey, that's a hip hop song. That one that made us go crazy. That one, it was very heavy. I just thought there, it was very heavy and 8 people in it, and people love that. Yo, man, that song is just hip hop. Like, let's talk about that song first before we go talk about other features. As you spoke about Handiende, still getting played now on radio. Like literally, like it's one of those songs. Classic. Yeah, no, I see somebody writing there. Yeah, Heavy 8. Let's talk about Heavy 8.
Yes.
Let's start with the heavy one, the Heavy 8.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, that's another one I will randomly hear being played on radio as
yeah,
well. Like sometimes I'll be
yeah.
driving somewhere and I will just hear, oh wow. And I'll be like, oh, Heavy 8 in 2024. That's wild. It's beautiful that these songs from 20 years ago get played 20 years later, right?
Whoa.
And Heavy 8 is like Battle Cat and I were, again, were just in the booth playing like we usually do. And a guy called Elio from Angola made that beat. And BK was hearing that beat and he was doing what he does because he didn't have separates for that. So he was adding drums and playing around, and he he was like, you know what would be nice? What would be nice is if we make this one without a chorus, you know? Just put a bunch of rappers on there. And I'm like, I like that, bro. I like that. How many rappers? Yo, I think we should like put like 8. Yeah, maybe give them 8 bars each, 8 bars. Oh, that would be so nice. You know, we should also do make it track number 8 on the album. Yeah, 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 yeah. Have a bunch of heavyweights. Who are the heavyweights around us right now? Hey, let's call it the heavyweights, heavy eights, and then we like one thing led to another, and then before you know it, the guys who are around us immediately became the heavy 8. So everyone from T, Verb, H2O, Kato, Mawetu, they became the
Kato,
heavy 8
man.
because they were the ones around us, and we couldn't put the whole of Optical Illusion there, so we had to put somebody there because they were around us every day.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
always there.
they're always there. And so before you know it, Golden Shower was there representing Optical. Mawetu was there representing all the other young bucks that would keep coming to the studio. Kato was there. T was there. Obviously, I was there. H Tweezy was there. H2O. And then before you know it, we had a joint. And what I remember telling all the MCs is that they all get a chance to hear the beat. Then they all get a chance to write their 8. Then they all get a chance to record their 8. But then they have to leave the studio immediately because the first time they'll get to hear everyone else who's on it and everyone else who's rapped on it is after everyone has spat their 8 because we didn't want everyone to influence each other,
You know, rappers,
So
Zubz killed me. Let me go back and write.
exactly, they'll be like, "Oh, Kato killed it, dude. I need to go back and write a new bar. I need to go back." So, so before you know it, before you knew it, the 8 cats were selected. They didn't know each other. The 8 bars were written. We didn't know about them. They were recorded. We didn't know. Even I got to hear it only after all the 8
What?
had finished. Yeah, BK was the only one who'd heard all 8 MCs and the
Crazy.
whole song. So by the time the song was ready, I was hearing it for the first time. BK was hearing it BK was playing it for the first time to Zeno, the whole of the Outrageous Record Squad, and
You
we were
saved
like,
yourself,
"Yo,
Chief. Because can you just imagine, like, listen to everyone's bars? You just like, yeah. I
yeah,
want to go back and write.
yeah."
Yeah.
No, at that point, there was no going back to write because we knew the rules. The rules were simple. You write your 8, you go away.
Yo,
And I knew my 8 would be right at the end, so I knew I'd be the last letter in that sense. I'm always in the starting
you
lineup,
rhyme
and
better.
I'm yeah, exactly, right, the last letter. So
Actually,
yeah, so
Brody.
that's how Heavy 8 came
What's up,
about,
Brody?
and then next thing you know, it's a posse cut, right? It became one of
Yeah.
those. It became one of those songs, the squad joint,
One of those, you just
Um,
like, you listen to that song, you look ugly. Just your face just changes. Like,
you're like, you wait, I know that face.
I, I want to talk about something.
Okay.
A very close friend of mine is actually a close friend of yours. Hid a talent from us, Nabunya. If you don't know
Oh,
who Nabunya is, if you don't know who Nabunya is, Nabunya is actually Lee Kasumba. I knew Lee when I was still in high school. I used to watch. So my parents couldn't afford. They used to call it back then multi-choice or DSTV.
yeah.
So I used to go to my friend's house when we used to play rugby and then stay there and trick my parents to stay there for the whole weekend. And we'll go to Lee's house to
Mm,
watch rugby there.
yeah.
She's featured on the album also. How did that happen? Like,
Again, it was proximity. It was family. We just, how can I put this? We always tapped into the resources that were closest to us,
makes sense.
right?
Yes, makes
Closest
sense.
by heart, but also closest in proximity. And so Beatmaker was one of those people around us,
Hey,
and he had already been
King,
working.
King. Shout
Yeah,
out to King.
exactly.
Very
King
underrated.
the
Sorry,
Beatmaker.
Zab.
No,
Very
go for it.
underrated beat maker. Sorry
Yeah.
for using beat maker. I know that's a very loose word, beat maker. Very underrated producer. Let's just clarify that. you know,
super underrated.
because there's a big difference. It's a huge difference. Very underrated producer, man. He's done such amazing music, and people didn't take him seriously because he was just left. Shout out to Pete
Fantastic
Baker.
musical director, really good dude as well. He
Very
invited us to his
amazing.
home. He
Yeah.
used to work out of his home. Just a wonderful guy and very strict, eh? When it comes to what he's strict in, he's strict. So anyway,
Yeah.
he made the beat for I Understand. And he at the time had already been working with Leslie, and he knew about her voice and we didn't. We just knew her as Bad Boy T Lee and Sansa, you know? Exactly. That's what we knew about her. We just were like, oh, okay, Lee, you know. But he knew Nabunya. He knew that she could sing. He knew that she was an artist at heart. He knew a lot about a lot of people that most people would be shocked about, because he knew a lot of industry folk like that, and he knew
That's
their
Beat Maker.
their layers. Yeah, that's beatmaker for you, and they would share it. And we also had like God and Christ in common, right? So he knew Leslie on that tip as well. So anyway, when we're doing I Understand, and we knew we needed to have those vocals on there, he was like, clearly, yo man, we need to put Lee here, you know. And I at the time didn't have a solid enough relationship with her. She had the best relationship at the time with King. But as soon as I got to work with her on that song, we became like this. And to this day, Nabunya and I are super tight. I think everyone that I've ever worked with on a song to this day, if they're still with us, we became so close because of the song. Like the music and writing it and creating it, it bound us in a spirit to the point where I don't think there's anything anyone would deny each other to this day. If somebody picked up a phone right now and called and said, I need this, they would do it. I mean, Pops Mohammed is one of them. He does
Oh,
the Quora on Brand New Day. Legendary artist.
oh.
He plays the Quora on Brand New Day, and to this day, there's nothing that Pops could ever ask of me that I would turn down, unless it's illegal or unless it's like. But
Like I am.
you'd never ask that of me. So and vice versa, you know, by the way, I can pick up the phone and call just about everyone I've ever worked with and just say to them, yo, are you keen for this thing? And they'll be like, well, just tell me when I need to be and where I need to be, I'll be there, because of what the music meant to us. And it meant
Yeah.
so much. And Nabunya is one of them.
You know, I said I'll shoot everywhere. Let's go back to the naming of the album, right?
Yeah.
Because for us, Listeners Digest, it was a encyclopedia or something that we used to read up.
Mm.
How did that name come about? Because it was amazing. Because you know, you like Listeners Digest. You know, it was already in our heads, but
Yeah.
when you named it, it just became even. You know, so you can just
Yeah.
tell us about the thought process of that. Because man, sheesh.
Well, I was a big reader growing up, so I always would stumble upon things like the National Geographic, which was like a series of like books that came out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I think yeah, exactly, right. And a similar type of thing that would come up with a similar cadence, right, with regularity and frequency, was a thing called the Reader's Digest.
Yes.
And the Reader's Digest was like a magazine stroke book. It just had a bunch of
encyclopedia with a lot of stuff. Yes.
That's it. That's it. And it had news, it had poetry, it had stories, it had a bunch of things, just different flavors of things in that small little thing. And you would sit with it for hours and you'd be told everything from science to Greek mythology to, like, you'd go everywhere with that thing. And when when it came time to, you know, to put together the album, as in to pick all the songs that we had salvaged because we had lost the songs from the hard drive crashing, which is a different story. So it came time to pick the songs and put together some kind of album. It really felt like the album was taking us to all kinds of things, bro. Like we're going from relationships to God to like rapping and emceeing in the ciphers to like all kinds of different things. And it genuinely felt like the Reader's Digest, except for listeners, right? And that's basically how the name came about. You know, the songs were so varied and so textured. Even the people who worked and the producers who came together, they all just came from all parts of the continent, all parts of South Africa, all parts of music genres, all parts of generations, if you include Pops Mohammed. It just felt like a digest, like something that had so much in one. And then by the time we recorded the actual song, The Listener, we already knew, yo, man, this is what we're doing. It's The Listeners.
Yo, that's very powerful, man. Listen, I've been listening to a lot of albums, and I'm an old school guy. I don't do this new thing where people are like, yo, man, I have listening 2 minutes. No, I listen proper, because if you call your album Zubz,
Yeah.
I want to know why. The songs must represent the name of the album. And when you saying Listeners Digest,
Me too.
and now you break it down, it makes sense, you know, because you have you have Superstar in there, you know, which is from somebody who's to battle. Superstar is such a commercial song. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I know in the streets, they're like, how is Zubz falling off? You know how guys are like, Superstar, because that was a huge song. It was a massive
Imagine
song.
being accused. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, Zubz, how? So what's going on? Then they hear me 8, then they're like, hey.
That's exactly it. And that's why, right, the digest, right? Every time, like, imagine coming up with a debut album, right? And one of your singles is Superstar, right? It was the second single, by the way. The first single was Listener Digest. I mean, the first single was I Write.
Yes,
and I Write did good, but it didn't do great in terms of radio. Superstar ended up doing...
Sorry to disturb you there. Sorry. So I Write was very much in our niche hip-hop, like your Harambes and all that, you know? That played, obviously, like, this is Zubz. Yeah, what I love.
You're right.
Anyway,
carry on. That's what made people get excited for the album. They heard I Write and they were like, oh, wow, you know that MC who was battling at Black August? This is him. Listen to this. Oh, his album's going to be so dope. And then the second single wasn't meant for them. It was now meant for a broader audience who'd never even heard of me, right? And that's what Superstar was. And that's why we shot a video for it. We tried to make it as big as we could at the time. And it did its thing, you know, it brought in a new bunch of people, but obviously those other ones were not like, dude, imagine being told you're falling off on your first album, a debut album that you hadn't even dropped. That is how much groundwork we're done. That's how much groundswell.
I don't think you understand how street cred works back then. It was such a big thing. Like,
Dude, exactly. So by the time I dropped my debut album, I'd already dropped a mixtape. I was already on Expressions, and then people had already got a real sense. They'd seen me at battles. They'd even seen me on national television. I think there was an episode on one of these shows on SABC One where I'd done some freestyling. But the point is, by the time they heard Superstar, they just thought, oh, he's getting jiggy, because back then, jiggy was considered a no-no if you had credibility in the streets, right? You're a commercial cat. So they thought it was a jiggy album, only to find out, no, man, it's just a varied album. And that, by the way, carried through even when I did Part-Time Lover, for example. People were like, this is so, like, happy, clappy, what good? And yet Part-Time Lover, that was the only single that was #1 for me, at least. I've never experienced that in my life, on multiple radio stations at the same time. Yeah, usually I have like a song that will chart on this station, then fade, then this station, then fade, and this station, then fade. But Part-Time Lover was #1 across the board, like even on community stations. And I found that to be the first time that's ever happened to me, because I'm not a hit maker like that, right? and it was interesting to see the reaction of the MCs who were like, yo, I Write, yo, Heavy 8, yo. It was interesting for them, I guess, for me to see them accept that Part-Time Lover was also part of the repertoire. It was also part of who I am, you know. There's a penmanship that it requires to be able to write like that.
Guys were like twitching. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Zubz, hey.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I just want to say now it's not like that anymore. Now I think everyone knows that it doesn't matter whether you are Drake or YBN Corday or whatever. You're going to need to have a varied sort of penmanship, your ability to write a song that is designed as a radio ad, the song that is designed for the streets, the song that is designed to battle, a song that is designed for the girls or for the women or for the other sex or the fairer sex or any other sex. You know, it's like you need to be so varied and so broad that you need to be able to appeal to a broader audience, as broader audience as you can. But human beings do that anyway by default. Because human beings aren't one-dimensional. No one is like, I'm just MF Doom. I'm just Benny the Butcher. You know? Nah. Even Benny the Butcher is not just Benny the Butcher, you know? He's also got like a varied, you know. So it really is it's a trip, this rap thing. It's a trip into rediscovering your own humanity and how varied you are as a human being. And that's, that's one of the biggest lessons I guess from Listeners Digest.
I want to say this before we wrap it up. I know me and you can talk for like literally 3 hours, guys. Like, it's not a joke. Me and Zubz can talk forever.
Should do a podcast.
Like, literally podcast stuff. I also know something that most people maybe didn't know, but you saved Joburg. Like, there's a time where, man, you saved Joburg. Unfortunately, I couldn't go down. I was part of the Harambee team, but I couldn't go down with you guys to Cape Town. And when you guys came back, all I heard was Zubz saved us. Zubz saved us. What happened? Like, Zubz saved us, guys. Zubz was our hero. Can you please explain that situation? Where's Agalan? What happened there when you saved us, Baba? When Cape Town and Joburg was battling, and you saved us.
I know. Slicker really says, he talks about it beautifully in his book. People must go read Slicker's book. It's beautiful. He talks about it in the book. But anyway, we at the time used to have many scenes: a Pretoria scene, a Joburg scene, a Cape Town scene. And at the time, YFM and Good Hope FM, was it Good Hope FM at the time? I can't remember. But YFM was at the forefront of all things hip hop and all things Kwaito, and so they would put things together, and when they knew Outrageous Records had this Expression CD and they were also doing this hip hop thing, they teamed together with Outrageous Records, they teamed together with Wicked and Selvin, they teamed together with just about every dope rapper was out there doing incredible things. And they did the same in Cape Town, right? With dope rappers out there doing incredible things. Then they transported everybody from Joburg to Cape Town. Like, literally, all the dope MCs from Cyphers and stuff were in a bus going to Cape Town. And trust me, there are stories for days in that bus. Some stories are PG, some can be told on the gram, on the live. Other stories are in a book like Slicker's. Other stories will live in the memories of the people who were there for good reason. So anyway, we got there, and sure enough, Cape Town was known for its lyricism, and they were insane with the battle MCs. Cape Town was not joking. Eh? Cape Town was nice, but so was Joburg. Yo. There were MCs out in Cape Town, bruv, like they are still today. But back then, they were known. Joburg had the ones with the hit records. Cape Town had the ones with the MCs who could battle, So we went to Cape Town, and we battled. Joburg versus Cape Town. JHP, Josie versus Ikap. And the best of the best were on stage that day. And back then, bro, you never wrote for the battle. It was off the top of the dome, bro. So only MCs who could battle. No preparation. Yo, you don't get time to prepare. You don't get given heads up. You show up. You see how I am like this since I was at 5 a.m.? I'm on stage now being told,
let's
battle.
go.
But I've just been talking to TTP on live. Now, fam, battle. Here's the beat. Go. Here's the MC. Go. And so you go toe to toe. Sometimes you're given a topic. Sometimes you're given context. Sometimes you just like respond to each other. And with every round, someone gets knocked out. Joburg Cat. Cape Town Cat. Who wins? The Cape Town Cat. He stays. The Joburg Cat, it's a wrap for you. Next guy. Before you know it, you have 5 MCs from Cape Town, 3 MCs from Joburg, right?
Yeah.
4 MCs from Cape Town, 2 MCs from Joburg. 1! And then it's now, okay, clearly Cape Town is going to win this, right?
Yeah.
Bro. Who was the last one from Joburg standing that day? The last letter was the last one. And that time, people like Slicker were insane with the mic. These guys could freestyle.
And people don't know that. Slicker he could battle.
Yo, that cat was not, and many of them, Flabba. Those guys were insanely good,
Yeah.
Squatter had an insane battle cat. I mean, Flabba was so nice.
Flabba was crazy.
Yo, and so we went at it, We went at it toe to toe, head to head, back to back. By the time the last round happened, man, I remember dropping that final bar. I can't remember the exact bar, but I remember the response from the Joburg cats was like, oh, this guy has won this thing. But you know who made me realize I won it? The Cape Town audience, bro. The Cape Town audience went wild. But they were like, oh! Even the judges were like, yo, it's unanimous, bro. This one, we can't even pretend to have home ground advantage. This is done. Yo, I was lifted up by my peers, like Abu, and they were lifting me up. I was like, that was a beautiful moment. I'm thinking back to it today, just like takes my breath away, because I think there's something about having MCs at your show, which is what we used to do then. All your favorite rappers in Mzansi were at the front row at your show. They didn't even have to be there, and they were
Correct.
there. You
We
are
did
their
it a
show.
lot.
You didn't have to be there, and you were there. Thomas was there, Bad Boy T, and he didn't have to be there, but it's your show. But these cats are there. Next day, who's performing? Oh, it's to be on the
We're
volume.
all
Everyone is there.
there.
All there. Next day,
We want to
Squad Camp.
see.
We're all there.
We
We're all
want to
there.
see.
Next day, Jabba, Double HP.
We want to
We're there. We're there.
see.
Yeah, you know. Township frequency doesn't matter who you are, we're there, and we're just supporting. We're support even basemental platform, you know,
Yeah.
wherever they are, and that's like a group that not too many people know of. I was so tempted them. Where are they? Where
Can
are
I say
they?
something? Sorry, I have to add something about basement platform. Those guys art covers. Oh my god! Like, you know, in terms of standards of art covers,
Yeah.
they came up with the most creative art covers ever. Remember that the triangle one
Oh,
with the warning sign?
oh,
Oh, I was like, guys, who made this package? And
dog.
that was the nice thing about back then, like the packaging. Like we used to like battle with packaging, guys. Like even
Yeah.
the art of
Yeah.
packaging
I
was a
mean,
battle.
exactly. And earlier on, you talked about how you like to know why, and you like to find out the reasons. Why did you call this? Why did you do that?
Yes,
The artwork was a reason for you to ask questions.
correct,
Why? Why did you use this triangle?
correct.
The sleeve in the CD. Before you even buy it from the store, you're in there just like reading, trying to find out who, why, where, you know? So
So yeah,
before too long, the hip hop community had become a family of brothers from another, really. All of us just loving the music, loving each other's contributions to it, supporting each other from a very, very real and deep place. It was a time when your sales, your shows, your ticket numbers and all that, or your radio play were not as deep a bond as what we had when we went to each other's live shows, bro.
true story.
That bond was so deep. I mean, by the time I did a song against Slicker, I did a song with Pro Kid, Slicker, and Babi Muloy. It was called Run.
Yeah.
It was one of the ventilation, on mixtapes. By the time we did Run as a collaboration, we had already cemented this like family bond between people like, for example, Babi Muloy. People wouldn't consider her like part of the hip hop circles, but she was, and she sings amazingly. And same with Nabunya, same with Thomas, same with Rasta, Sansa. Like there were a bunch of people who became like brothers, like family, and especially because I was one of the older MCs even then, they became like my young brothers, and to this day we are like family. We will see each other after not having seen each other for 15 years, and we'll hug, um, and catch up, because that moment was truly the golden era of South African hip hop.
Before people kill me, obviously, guys, you can ask questions. I see Checker Shop already is asking here deep questions. Hey, Zubz, you see what you do? Make people in the morning ask deep questions. I'm like, yo, I read this back 3 times. I'm like, Checker Shop, yo, this is deep. He says, Zubz, on Performance of Your Lives, says, read what your thoughts needs. Could he elaborate further to the youth of today? Will we ever see another collab like that from Checker Shop? Hey, Checker Shop, so in the morning. Yo, guys, can ask your question. Yeah. Ayop, big up to Ayop, man. I see you. Big up to everyone that's on, man. Thank you for everyone coming on. You can ask your questions. We can do another 10 minutes with Zubz. I don't want to take too much of his time, but ask your questions. There's the first one, man. Hey, Checker Shop. Hey, Checker Shop.
And I do see the comments, by the way. So yes, the brotherhood and still is strong. No, you do the comments because I'm not really focused, but I'm seeing them.
I'm sorry. It's
is right. Ayob is very
the English, but yeah, we just caught up in the story. So yeah. Maybe answer that for Checker Shop. I know there was an earlier question. Maybe ask that now. Are you gonna do more albums? I know people have been complaining about that. Zubz album.
Yeah,
Maybe explain that also.
Okay, so first of all, shout out to Ayob. He's right. The bonds is still strong, especially with Ayob. I see him as
Ayob, man.
Well, the Performance of Your Life was from a mixtape that I dropped before my debut album. And that the Last Letter mixtape. And the Last Letter mixtape had a song that had Do Me and Verb and Me called Performance of Your Life. The whole point of Performance of Your Life, including that line that he's talking about, watch what your thoughts read and like observe what that meant was there's the streets, there's talk, there's all this yak and all this stuff happening around you, but you got to go inward to find out what it is that you truly need. That's what that line means. Because that song, Performance of Your Life, is that sure, you're performing, but you're actually alive. This is your life. You're living the performance of that. It's the performance reading I now do with podcasts and I now do with series. Like I find myself being so fed by the podcasts I listen to, the series, the artists I follow online, that they give to me and they do for me what books used to do then. They expand my mind and they stretch me and they force me to come out of myself. When I do read, it's because that book is either recommended to me or is my bedtime kind of lullaby where I get into a zone, I read, and then before I know it, the words start to disappear, and then I know, okay, it's time to sleep, and then I sleep. But other than that, I don't read nearly as much as I used to. And also, I don't know, we'll see if that changes in the future.
Shining Armor, shout out to Shining Armor. He's all the way in Australia, mate. Hey, what's up, Shining Armor? He's asking, why can't we find your first EP anywhere online? And shout out to Ginger Trill. I see Ginger Trill's here, man.
Because we gave it away for free. The first joint was given away for free. And we printed the CDs ourselves even at the time. At the time, we didn't have this whole download vibes. It would have been so much easier to just send people links, right? Just, click this link and you get it. But now, we sat there with the Outrageous Record Studio full of blank CDs. And when we ran out of CDs, we'd literally tell them, we have CDs, but if you bring your own CD, you're guaranteed to get the copy. And then hundreds of them would come with CDs. And then we'd just take their blank CD, give them a printed one, print the other one for the next guy. And then but look, in terms of where to find stuff, the stuff that you're not going to be able to find on the streaming platforms, I'm going to put up on my website. I'm evolving my site so that it has everything. Even some of the stories I'm telling you about today, I'm probably going to flesh out my website with a lot of them. So you will have the music there for download, the one that you can download. You'll have links to the stuff that you can stream, and then you'll have the extra sort of tidbits. In fact, even my YouTube, I'm resurrecting the YouTube channel after a 9-year hiatus, so that I can also start posting a bunch of really beautiful music and the stuff that you can't quite find. So,
he's saying also here, Shining Arm is like, P.S. We did a fire song called Fire on the Mountain with Joint Pusher.
Yeah.
You still have to shoot a video for
Fire on the Mountain. I remember that song. Yeah.
You still got to shoot. Don't worry, Ayob is like, ish, my bad. He says he loves the answer. But, yo, man, shout out to Ayob. Great. Yo, Ayob, if you guys must check out Ayob. The pen game of Ayob is amazing. Just by the way. Just.
He's insane. He's another guy that I met him off the poetry scene, by the way. He was an incredible and is an incredible poet. He's a beautiful writer.
Yeah.
Wonderful human being. Yeah. And of course, he's going to ask me about books at 5 in the morning. Or it's not 5 anymore. But he will ask me about books first thing in the morning because he's that guy.
He's that guy.
And the Fire on the Mountain song that he's talking about with Jade Pusher, yeah, he's right. Yeah. That's a beautiful song.
You guys just released that, Shining. Drop that song.
Is it out? I think it's out.
Is it out? Yeah, drop it again. Yeah. Send us the link so we can push it again.
I'm gonna put it on my website. I'm gonna speak to him and see if it's okay for me to put it on the site. Yeah, so I'll put it.
Rap Type Mag, shout out to Rap Type Mag, doing some dope jobs, Besides dropping a young freestyle before you leave, there we go. There we go. The hip hop side comes out.
I already did like a bit of some bars there before. So this is why you must wake up early, chief.
Yeah, it's called the 5 AM Club for a reason. What makes a good rapper in your opinion or experience? Hey, that question is a hard one, but anyway.
For me personally, because it's super subjective what a good rapper is. For me, like I said earlier, if I can hear you first time I've ever heard it, like any of your stuff, and I already get a sense of who you are, like I can get a sense of the stuff you like, the kind of person you are, the way you are when I meet you. If I then go, of course you're this guy, man, because your music is, then I know you're dope. And then also rhyme structure. I'm a stickler for rhyme structure. Me and T go for debates for days. Like I remember T and I would sit there, even Verb. Me, T and Verb would be like, yo, how he chopped this word, where he chopped this word, how he brought this rhyme back on the 16th bar. If your rhyme structure is the kind of stuff that blows my mind. Like, you will do things that I don't see coming with the words and the wordplay and the rhymes. You got me, man. You got me. And then finally, there's something that is an X factor that I don't think anyone can put into words, but everybody knows it when they hear it. There's just something. Pro Kid had it. You know, Jabba had it. There's a
Hey,
thing. There's a thing that
people,
an
I call that
artist.
people. That's eight, man. Yeah, some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah, when you put together your compilation, you were looking out for that thing. I could tell because of the type of song you put there.
Yeah.
There's a thing. There's a thing that an artist will have where I don't know what it is, man. You just be like, "Yo, this is dope," you know. And that one you can't even deny. I mean, it is what it is, and you can't put a finger on it. It's different every time.
Two more questions because we're gonna go on
Hey,
forever. My question
right.
for Zubz, Fresh Boy RSA. You know, did you ever think hip hop would take it this far?
The heart. You never thought that hip hop
Or
would
would
take
take
it
it
this
this
far?
far?
Now look, they're in the limelight because they rhyme tight. Like, who would have thought artists from Africa would be anticipated by fan bases in South America, in Finland, in North America? Like,
Yeah, man.
whoever thought that hip hop would take it? I remember growing up listening to EPMD, KRS-One, Rakim, Biggie, Nas. You know, those were the people I had as a template. Then other people ended up growing up listening to me as a template, and Verb and Amu and
And
Java and
T.
Pro Kid and T. And then others then grew up listening to AKA as the template. And AKA can even say, I grew up listening to Verb. You know what I mean? And before you know it, someone is inspired by Alakine, and they are inspiring other kids in 2024. It's just, it boggles my mind how hip hop has grown so much
Bro,
intergenerationally in my
mad
lifetime. And
madness.
I'm just saying, like this thing is not even like a half a century old. It's just, whoever thought that hip hop would take it this far, you know? So yeah, good comment, good question.
Yeah, Shazins. So I hope I'm saying your name
Yeah.
right. I knew this was coming. Top five. Shazin, top five, Dead or Alive, or top five? Because that's a
Top
tricky question.
five rappers of all time is Pac, Nas. Like, I did a song where I listed the top five, and that top five stays the same to this day because it's uncontroversial. You know, Dead or Alive. Um, now that I'm thinking about it, because I found myself over the years feeling differently about some of the guys in my top five. Not because I love them any less, but because of the bond that I've formed with some of these MCs in South Africa that are alive. Like T, for example, was best man at my wedding. You know what I mean? And that's because of the personal relationship I forged with him. But he's also one of the dopest MCs I've ever heard in my life. So I'm gonna say for today, Black Thought, Pac, Nas, J, and T. Stogie.
Yo,
He's
Shumunza.
now made my top
That's the
five.
same question.
He wasn't in
You
my
heard
top
me.
five before this morning, but now he's in there.
Yeah. 5M Club, top five. You guys heard it. You see now, when people ask does Drake make that's his top five. Can't be asking him if Drake made it. That's his top five, guys. You know, hey, bro,
Yeah,
hip hop.
listen, man.
We can go
I
on
will tell you
forever.
this. I think Drake is underrated, even though he's one of the most recognizable and most celebrated artists. I think people don't understand that Drake's talent is not in his MCing and his ability to
He's an
whatever do all that. It's
artist.
it's the artistry, it's the longevity,
Artistry is
it's the
amazing.
adaptability, it's the versatility. I don't think there's any rapper except maybe Jay who can match that. Being able to adapt no matter the era, no matter the season, no matter the sound, he's able to adapt to a point where
He
you actually don't
overtakes.
even know who the Drake. You don't know who the Drake fans, original fans are. Are they the ones from Canada who used to listen to K9? Are they the ones today that are busy listening to, like,
Because his
you know,
mixtapes
21?
were
Like,
bananas. Because I remember
yes, yes,
at Hype, Mizzy would be like,
exactly. And
yo, man. Mizzy
that
would be
that's
like,
a
yo, man, listen to
testament to
this stuff.
Drake's. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just saying, like, Mizzy would be like, yo, man. He'll send me a song like, yo, man, listen to Drake. And his mixtapes were bananas.
Yeah,
You can't take
yeah.
away from that.
No, Mizzy is right. Right, Mizzy is right.
As we're releasing a project around, there's like a whole project around that whole Nina Simone situation. But how did that come about, and
Um,
yo, man, Yambo and Mizi, and yo, the brain behind that is crazy.
it's true. Nyambo and Mizi are insane.
Oof.
I mean, Nyambo and Mizi were behind my second album,
Yeah,
Headphone Music in a Parallel
yeah.
World, which is a lot of people's favorite album of all the three. And those guys are on another level. Hey, Nyambo and
Hey,
Mizi are. I don't know if people know this about Mizi, but he's not just a producer. You know, he's a lot of things, and he's always on another planet with those
hey.
things. Nyambo defined the sound of a city, guys. Nyambino, he was like the sound of Pretoria.
Sorry, can
You
I just
knew.
get in there? Just,
Jump in,
just, just for the, just for the slimes. I
jump
said
in.
there's a lot of obviously the Aries fans. Yambo's the reason why Aries sounds the way he sounds. You,
Oh,
you can come for me. All the slimes can come for me. It's no problem. But I'm telling you now, go listen to Yambo's beats. You understand why Aries raps on beats, those jazzy type of beats. Just sorry, you can carry on.
no, no. I mean, thanks for sharing that because it's important to know the roots of these things.
Uh-huh.
Nyambo was like literally, if there's a hub where everything comes out of, it was Nyams.
Mm.
So you can imagine if Nyambo and Mizi
Mm,
get together and they come
mm,
up with a
mm,
concept, how
mm,
mind blowing
mm,
it is.
mm.
So much so that we listen to that project even now in 2024, whenever we're having our conference calls, because we call about that album every week. We have a stand-up meeting about it. We talk about that album like we're fans as well of that music because those songs in 2024 are prophetic, like you said, TGP, but in a different way, like in a way where even the three of us didn't understand. Because Nina was a powerful, powerful artist, powerful. She inspired Nyambo and Mizi to come together. And then they brought me in after that whole concept was developed. And then I started to write, and then we started to bring in the featured artists, the Kojos of this world, Pharaoh Monch, Master Ace. We brought in a bunch of people. And before we knew it, we had a project on our hands that was bigger
Yo,
than what we initially wanted it to
I
be,
remember that.
right? And it's
I
now,
remember the debate.
it's, it's so old now, that album, right? That even if you hear it, you'll be able to hear that this thing must have been done at least 8 years ago, at least. And it was done at least 8 years ago. But you won't think that when you hear it. And the other joints that you're going to hear are going to blow your mind because the subject matter on there and the way the stuff feels, it's eerily on time. It's crazy. So Nyambo Mizi and I, we talk about the best way to put it out all the time because, as you would imagine, there's a lot of moving parts with this project, and until all those moving parts are properly aligned, in order for us to give this project the launch it deserves, and by launch I don't mean a big launch, I mean like to put it out, then we can't just throw it out there. But trust me when I tell you,
Mm,
there's some verses on there, there's some music on
that
there,
that
there's some
album, bro.
interpolation of music. Yo, man, it's so wild, eh? Like I will listen to those songs now and I'll just be like, oh my gosh, man, like this is crazy, you know. But anyway, you will
Yeah.
hear it.
So just to wrap up, obviously 12th of October, which is Saturday,
Yeah.
you're gonna be performing. I had to drag him out. I was like, Zubz, please, 20 years, Baba, please
Yeah.
come perform for us. I said, please.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Shining Arm is talking about the song you did, Ginger Trill. Just to clarify, well, I'll release that song. I know I've been holding it back for too long, but I will release that. People want to shoot me for that song. I'll release that song. I've been holding it
Stop
back.
playing with the
It's my fault.
people, TTP. Stop playing
Sorry,
with the
guys.
people, too.
I'll release it just because Zubz is performing. Yeah, this week I'll release it. I've been holding it back. Like, I don't know why. It's just been hold back. It's just being me
Yeah.
being weird.
I
But
don't
you're
know, back.
performing. Just to wrap it up. This coming Saturday. How's that? You haven't performed in a while. I know you're very picky and choosy in where you perform because
Yeah.
you want your space. You want your, as you
Yeah.
described to me, you want to do things your way, which is good.
So I mean, it's 20 years since that album dropped. We dropped it in 2004. It's almost like 20 years on the dot. Op the cope, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, there's no better time than now, and no better moment than now to just punctuate that 20 years somehow,
Yeah.
you know. And I've been thinking about what the best way to do it would be in 2024. And what better stage than the biggest hip hop stage in the region, probably even on the continent, just to be able to say, yo, tip the hat to Listeners Digest, and everyone
Mm.
was touched by it. That's why we've come out to do this thing. And trust me, I will perform small venues. Sometimes it's just me and my acoustic guitar because I'm getting so much better now at guitar. But this one requires us to make a moment out of it. I have to take that golden mic out one more time and hold it on stage one more time, right? And do it in a place where we can all acknowledge and say, we had a beautiful moment 20 years ago. This was it, you know. And what better way to do it than with just a little bit of a situation on Saturday. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm just,
Yeah, man.
I'm
Yeah.
lucky, you know. I'm lucky that people like Osmic have been carrying on with this festival for so long, you know. And
So
these
that
are
guy
people
hasn't
I've
given
got to
up, man.
exactly. And you as well. Hey, let's not forget you and your role with the whole Back to the City Festival. You guys have been doing this thing for so long, and no matter how bad the lows get, you always find it in you to come back again the next year, even when the year brings with it so many trials and tribulations that you're like, I don't want to do this again no more. The beginning of the next year, you guys are like doing it again. You're like excited about it, and it's gone on for long. And yo, shout out to you guys, man. I love that you guys have given us an opportunity to celebrate hip hop at this level. So thank you to you and everybody at the Back to the City team for giving me and a whole bunch of other MCs an opportunity to have a stage where we can have moments that we can share with people who love the music like we do.
Yeah, man. Wouldn't be here, you know. We just, you know, as I said, for me, and I know Osmic will say the same words. Wouldn't be here if you guys weren't doing what you guys were doing. You know, 20 years back. You know, we were just watching. And I said, Expressions was what inspired me to release a compilation, by the way, you know. Shout out to Suminza from in Zambia there. He says he would love to be at Back to City, but he's in
That's
Zambia.
my dude
Shout out
right
to everyone from,
there,
I see a
Simunza.
lot of people from
Simunza
Durban
Buyanga. Now
and Zambia.
that's my family
What's
right
up?
there. What up, Simunza?
What's up, fam? So, like, we do this every time because we remember this. There were people who did this before us, you know, and we have to always push on and go forward. So, big ups to everybody, man, also who tuned into this live. And big ups to you, man. Like, you're literally one of my favorite MC. Like I said, I've been listening, you know. I was always the guy in the corner, and people were like, in the suit. What do you do?
I remember. I remember.
So, shout
Yeah,
out to you.
You and Leslie had such a beautiful bond. Like I remember asking Leslie, "Yo, man, why is TTP so like he's in this thing? Eh? He's so in love with this hip hop thing." You know, you were always there, TTP. Always there,
You
even
can
when we
only
didn't
learn from
realize it.
greats. You have to be around them, you know, and learning from like Bad Boy TLE and Sansa and Naked. I think people always forget Naked. Like Naked, such a hip hop head. Like Naked DJ. Oh my God. He's
Yeah,
a
Naked,
clown.
man. Shout out to Naked.
When not
He's
Naked, you're a clown, but yo, he's brain.
even his
He's hip
brothers,
hop
by
brain.
the way, even his brothers, like
Correct, correct.
all of them are, yeah, they're just heads throughout.
Yes.
Like their kids are heads.
Yo,
Their whole family is just.
yo.
That,
Put it back.
nah, I wish you the best. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you to
Appreciate
everybody
it.
that joined in. I see you all and all your messages. Shout out to Bad Gods. I know I love that song, and everyone else that took part in the live. See you guys on Saturday.